Hello and welcome, everybody. You are tuned into the May 2020 PowerApps community call. We're really happy to be here today. This is our actual third PowerApp call since things have been in quarantine, and it's really not slowing down our call at all. It's awesome to have some great folks here today showing us incredible things you can do with PowerApps. So if you haven't been on our PowerApps community call, let me tell you a little bit about it here. So the way that our call works is we meet on the third Wednesday of every month. And what we do is we get together with folks from Microsoft, MVPs, community champions, Power Addicts, basically everyone in the world of Power Apps who loves this tech. And what we do is we get together and we chat about Power Apps. We do demos, we do deep dives on new features, we talk to the product group and learn how it's engineered sometimes. Our next call will happen on, this would be then June 17th. That would be the third Wednesday of next month. So you can tune in again there. And in the format of our call today, what we are going to do is we are going to cover who's on the call today. And then we're going to talk about some really cool topics here. We've got Power Virtual Agents introduction today and how we can use entities with those. We're also going to try to talk about how to integrate Power Virtual Agents with Power Automate. And then we're also going to see some really cool, brand new high-tech features of mixed reality and geospatial components. We always talk about what's new and going on with Power Apps and in the community in general. And we have Q&A throughout the call too. So that's what we're going to cover today. So who are your awesome hosts today? Well, that's me on the left. I'm Todd Baginski. I'm a partner and CTO at my company, Canviz. We love doing Power Apps and all things Office 365, SharePoint, Azure, .NET Mobile, etc. And you can find me on Twitter. I have a blog and on YouTube as well. And as usual, I am joined by the always happy Charles Sterling. How you doing, Chuck? Love it. Love it. You're looking pretty clean cut today, my man. All right. Looks like a sunny day there in Seattle, too. That's always nice to see. Here we go with the next piece of our puzzle today. In our Power Apps community call, every time we've got the chat going on. And there's all these awesome folks and many others in chat too, who can answer your questions right now about Power Apps. Are you blocked on something? Do you not know how to get started? Is there a feature you want to know how to implement, but you don't know where to go with it? Great place to start is a chat window right now, because everyone's standing by to help you out. So thanks to everybody who always comes along and helps out with that. That's what makes our community so awesome. Okay, so last month and the previous 2 months, we had a giveaway compliments of the TechSmith Corporation. So I don't know if you all use TechSmith or not, but I love it. I use it every day. I use Snagit and I use Camtasia all the time to make videos as well. Well, TechSmith reached out to us and told us, hey, if you've got some kind of cool podcast or community call you're doing, we'd love to help support you and give away some swag. So I reached out to them and they've got some stuff for us. Well, it turns out someone won last month and I reached out to 3 different people to try to tell them that they won this. Nobody responded to me. So I said after 3, I'm just going to ask again this month. So what we have this month is really cool prize from TechSmith. You got a coffee mug, some stickers, but the coolest thing is you get a license to Snagit and Camtasia. So yeah, Daniel's got the thumbs up for that one. Everybody, I see a lot of nods. Everybody loves this one. This is a really cool prize. And so what we're going to do is try to pick someone at random again and get a hold of them to win it. Hopefully that is you. All you have to do is show up and you are registered. Okay, so moving on. Our first thing today is Chuck's on tap. We got entities and Power Virtual Agents. So Chuck, I can't wait to see what you're going to show us here. And it looks like you have some kind of battle between your pets going on.
Yeah, and actually it dovetails back to what Daniel's demoing. So it's kind of interesting is that we kind of came up with this in parallel. But what I wanted to show you guys is maybe some of the anti-patterns that we always do in the Power Virtual Agent. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to have Christine Wheeler tell me when she can see it. Christina, can you see it?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. So the way we always start these topics out is the Power Virtual Agents. We go in and we start with topics, and we go out and say new topic, and we go out and type in something like fish, and then we go out and ask, and we have a fish trigger question, et cetera, et cetera. And invariably, what we always do, and I'm just as guilty as this is the next person, is we go through, and the first thing that you do in your topic is you ask a question. Right, so you go out and say, "What kind of doggy are you interested in?" Me and Christina are doggy people, so we would go out and clearly start typing in lab, dachshund, boxer. Well, clearly this becomes fairly untenable, especially when you start doing things like calling Power Automate flows, like Daniel's going to show. So, and then also you get this mess down here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit easier to use. And it just gets really, really hard, right? So this is actually what most of our demos kind of walk you through. And I'm going to show you a better way. And this is what Todd was talking about with entities. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go out and start with a new entity. And you'll see I have a cats entity. And I went through and I just looked up, what are the top cats? The nice thing about this list is I can reuse it again and again and again. I can do slot filling. So if someone goes out and types in, hey, I would really like a kitty and I want it to be an exotic short hair or something, it will do a slot fill and actually it will pass it all through, and I can reuse it again in lots of different places. So this is an entity. How do I use that instead of an option question? And that's what I wanted to demo real quick. So if we go back to topics and we go out and say new topic, and we'll call this one the cat topic, and maybe we have a kitty and I want a kitty, and I'm not going to save this, so I don't know why I'm bothering to work on it so far. And then go to author in Canvas, and here's where we're going to go out. Instead of asking for all the different cat breeds, I'm going to go out and say, let's actually just go right here and ask a question, and you'll see that instead of multiple choice, you can go through and list all of the different entities, including cats. And if you do want to display it as a button, right, so that we had that really fairly large one, I could go out and maybe choose the top 3, because that's what's going to fit inside of my chatbot canvas, if you will. And now what you do is let people know that let's not be constrained by just those buttons, but let's type in other things. So what I did is I actually said, what kind of cat are you interested in? Oh, we should format this a little bit. World of cats. Okay. And I could go out and bold this and et cetera, et cetera. Come on. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm not going to save this. I just want to show you what one looks like versus the other. So if we go ahead and type in, I want a doggy. Dogs. There we go. And you get this big, long list, and it's kind of hard. And there's no real prompt as to what I could have typed in, etc. Versus, I want a kitty. What we should get and say, oh, I'm actually in the middle of the dogs at this point, so we actually need to reset it. So hang on. We're in the middle of a dog conversation. I want a kitty. Let's see if actually. Okay. And what it says is, hey, I'm going to show you those top 3. Actually, in this case, I may have shown you more than 3, but I would probably limit it to 3 because that's what this canvas is. But I'm telling people that you're not limited to this. I could go ahead and type in Berman. I don't know what a Berman. Actually, I looked at this one. This one's really cute. This Scottish Fold. I'm not a cat person, but what happened? There we go. I would probably be interested in a Scottish Fold cat because they're very cute. And if I go out and do that, then I go through and I go through the exact same sort of choice. And I come back with a message, and then I could go out and do interesting things like pass in the variable cats, because that's what's being passed in, and actually go out and call an action of a Power Automate flow. And that, my friends, is what I wanted to show you on how to actually not use just always option questions, but use entities, get all of the benefits of your option questions, plus reuse of a list and slot filling. And it makes it much, much easier to use for Power Automate. So Daniel, my friend, that's what I wanted to tee off with for you.
Hey, Chuck, that is awesome. I really like the dynamic approach to that. I have a question for you that I bet somebody is wondering. If you create your own custom entity and it's used to support your Power Virtual Agent, how do you package that entity plus the Power Virtual Agent and move it from one environment to another?
Yeah, great question. It's actually something that's coming next month. So there's actually two pieces of that. The first one is doing an export. So we will be able to actually export this bot. If you go in the home screen, it will actually have a button that says share. That's actually in our dev environments right now. And actually, I think one of the build demoers actually had that built on their machine. I don't think they were supposed to, but I saw it. So it's going to say share right here. And that also lets you do multi-authoring, and it's going to be solution aware. So we're going to be able to export to a solution and actually add other people in this entity, which is not to be confused with a CDS entity. Hopefully they'll expose it as a CDS entity at some point in the not too distant future. But right now they actually are is metadata for the Power Virtual Agent itself. Great question,
Awesome.
Todd.
Thanks. Let's see. I don't seem to see any other questions about this in the chat right now. So, Daniel, if you want to move on, I see you've already shared your screen here.
Perfect. Yep, I will. So, it is a great intro which Chuck gave, because that really helps me to flow into the Power Automate. And I apologize if I say flow. It's still in my inner guts that I have that word flow. You will have to take it off my DNA, and that takes a little while. So, but the whole concept of using the flow it really works, because I was just having this conversation with Chuck. Is that one of the things I love about this is that you come up with this really good solid PVA logic, right? The flow that we build, or in the logic that we build in PVA. And once that is set and you've tweaked it and it's up and running, you really don't have to do anything over there. And all the content that you need to upload or change, which for a Q&A type of a things or information that you're providing, that all comes from your entities using the flow. So that really helps me. And I'll show you some examples. But one of the things that I've been doing now for, over 6 months is all the events that I attend and speak at. What I've been doing is I've actually got a Power Automate, a Power PVA bot attached to this entity over there. And for every event, I go ahead and just update 2 entities. Update one entity. It's all the event, the title, category of the sessions, and the speakers over there. And that's all I've been doing. I've never had to touch the PVA logic. I've never had to touch the flows. All I had to do was just keep recycling the entity over there, and the same one was used again and again and again. So I'm kind of actually going to walk you through that process as well. But the first thing, for the sake of this demo, is I like to switch things around, because I know we've been so focused on how we can use everything for COVID-19 for helping people. I want to kind of stay in that same rhythm, but change things up a little bit different. And here's what I want to talk about. So in the example that I have over here, I want to talk about this company called Cheers Incorporated. Now, Cheers Incorporated is a nonprofit organization over there. And what it does is it goes ahead and helps people, two kinds of people. It takes the people who need service, and it also works with people who can offer the service, right? So there's 2 kinds in mind over there. Second thing is, there's a lot of people who need help. There's a lot of people who can offer services. So they're constantly pinging the people over there, the support person on that call over there. That means that the support person is kind of getting overwhelmed over there. Whoever it is, he or she who's taking a phone call is really getting overwhelmed over there. So what we can do to help a scenario like this is actually just take things a little bit different and let the PVA come in and help. Now, I want to pause away just for a few seconds and talk about something very important. If you notice, PVA did not replace that support person. And it's a very important thing. I want to call that out over there. PVA is actually an extension of help for that support person over there. And that fear, if anybody has, is that, oh man, these bots are going to replace my job. That fear needs to be taken out. These bots are actually going to do all those mundane, regular, day-to-day tasks that you do, and let that, everybody else focus on the more important things over there. They will take all that load off you, and that's something that I want to focus on. So in addition, what happens is now we've got a Microsoft form, and in that Microsoft form, both the people who need service and the people who offer service. We can take all that information which the bot has to provide, put it over there in the forms, and then now we've got this process where the administrator can actually now focus on the form over there and go ahead and get all these questions answered. So that is the scenario that I'm going to talk about over here. And let's actually straight jump into the demo. So there's the first demo that I want to show over here is that example that I showed, right? So this is, a PVA, and Chuck already went ahead and walked through that, building one. So I'm not going to build one from scratch, but I do want to show this one simple scenario over here. Is that over here, the initial trigger phases is both the kinds that I showed. The kind that is I need, the one person who can actually needs help as against the other person who can provide help. So these are the trigger ones over here. And then in the authoring canvas over here, I've got this full scenario going where it's loading, where you can actually go ahead and see how the bot goes ahead and takes care to see where, what are the two people that are contacting? Are they the people who can provide help, or are they the people who can give help? And then based on that, this is the the sixth scenario. So you saw the trigger faces over there. There's a message that comes up with, hey, we are glad you stopped by. What kind of help do you need? And then, what are you willing, what do you need help? Are you willing to volunteer? Again, choices over here. And then from here on, it kind of goes in and breaks it down into a whole bunch of different categories. And I am probably in my wrong topic over here, the one that I demoed. Let me go back and just make sure it's loaded, because there's a lot more involved in this one than I had. Let me just make sure I'm in the right one. No, I'm not. Let me double check really quick. If not, I can switch over straight to my other demo. But the point in this one that I want to show over here is how I can, do. And here's the example: is how I can actually leverage a bot system to actually do that simple, initial mundane but important task that have to be done. That's where I'm going to go and do that. So here's that example. It's loading, but what happens is the same process where the bot comes in. The chat process happens, and one of the initial discussions it has is, are you going to offer the, glad you stopped by? Are you there to offer some help, or do you need help? And then here is where things get interesting, because if you're going to need help, then we come in over here, and then we start asking a lot more questions. Is that what kind of help do you need? Financial? Is it just household chores that you want to need help with? Is there more things such as babysitter technology? Everyday type of help that we need in these unprecedented times that we live in. And then again, based on that, just like Chuck showed, it can get very interesting. It also can get very, sometimes what looks a little complicated. But here's the thing I want to talk about is that now, based on whatever was asked, the message changes. Like, we sympathize with you and we'll do our best to provide financial support or assistance. Just go ahead and fill out this form. And that's the key thing, right? Now, the person who's not constantly answering the phone, asking questions again and again, he or she, the bot goes ahead and takes care of the initial discussion. And then after that, based on whatever was the request, the form shows up over there and the person goes and fills the form. And now the administrator, the actual human person involved, the human touch person involved, goes ahead and then reviews the form over there. This is great. Right from the get-go, which takes all of literally 45 minutes to even build something like this, is pretty sweet from the get-go, right? And Chuck just did a great demo on even walking through just simple, building up over there. And that's the same process over here. I was able to build a bot, which does all of this initial questioning and answering over there and works with that. But now, if any time something has to be changed over here, this is kind of a static design. I need to go ahead and change that. That's why the option to leverage Power Automate really helps, because now you build a solid design for your Power Automate over here, and then all the data work, all this text and all of getting all the information and everything is all handled on the PVA side, on the entity side over there. So let me jump in now and show you that example. All right. So coming back over here, and while that's loading, I'll show you my the ones that I always use is in my entities over here. I have something called as a event sessions. So I'm going to click on this event session over here. And what I do is I've built this event sessions as a very simple list. And here's basically all the fields that I have. The key ones is, what is the location? Location, where's this, the session location over there, session name, session type, speakers, and what are the topics related to that. So these are the kind of common fields that I've been adding. And then so here is just a good overview of what the data is. So I just come in over here, I can go ahead and look at all my fields. And this is basically that one place where I've been updating for every events that I've been going over there. It's like I've got the session names now. I've gone ahead and go ahead and put in other information such as what type of session is it? Is it a breakout session? Is it a half-day workshop, full-day workshop? Who are the speakers over there? The other thing that I've been working on is what if this is a 3-day conference? Then I also go ahead and factor in the date and the time. Like the session starts at 10 a.m. This session starts at 11 a.m. Because as you all know, in Flow, there is our famous UTC function over there, which tells you what is the time now, which means while I'm in Flow, I can say when the request comes in, pick up that time now, then run that against this information over here. So any session which was yesterday, don't bring that up and do a search on that because I can confuse the people over there. So now that you see the entity over here, I want to go back into my virtual agent, and you can see this topic that I have. I mean, the topics of sessions. I'm going to click on the sessions.
While you're loading that up and we're talking about entities here, there's a question in the chat. Can you use your SharePoint list instead of entities for your data source here?
Unfortunately not. It doesn't have the same functionality as the search and the querying that we have on SharePoint lists. I've actually tested that. I've tested both of them, the SharePoint list and on Azure SQL. CDS is the much more powerful one over there. You can actually work with SQL entities over there. Its querying capacities are much more robust on the Flow side over there, Power Automate. But SharePoint is not a actual data source. It is a list on an application. That's why you don't get the same functionality that you will have with a solid data source like an entity or a SQL over there. So that's a good question, though.
Cool.
All right, so I've come over here. These are the type of questions that is put in. I'm going to ask questions about the either the session or the speaker. So I'm going to come over here and let's just test it. It says have a question about speaker. Let me zoom in that a little bit so it makes it a little easier. Question about speakers. So I send that over to there, and now there's the basic bot system that comes up. It says, hey there, looks like you need some assistance to pick a session or a speaker. I can help. Pick one. So I'm going to say, I'm going to pick a session. And any session in particular, I'll say, yeah, I got a session on Power Virtual Agents. I wonder who that person is. We'll see. I actually don't know if I added myself over there. So yeah, I don't. So let's just say PowerApps. So in PowerApps, again, it is going ahead and searching in over there. It goes to the running and says, hey, here's what I found. And it goes ahead and gives me a whole bunch of other sessions. Oh, and three of my favorite people show up over there. There's Reza over there. Reza did a session on the building performing PowerApps over there. April Dunham did a session on PowerApps and the IT governance over there. And then Ajay also did on application lifecycle management. So it's important that we focus a little bit over here. Now, you see, I did a search just on giving the name that I want a session on PowerApps. That's all I did. I told the chatbot that one. But the beauty of that data is that in the back end, each of the sessions was actually a separate event. So thanks to the Power Automate's flow, it is able to query through all the entities that I had over there. It was able to pick up all of them that even resemble the search that I did, package that together, basically just put that together, and then push that back up to the Power Virtual Agent over there. That is the power of this thing over here, all right? So now you saw an example. I'm gonna actually now take you over and share the magic that happens in the back end. So let's just, do this example there, just how it works. We come over here now on the Power app, this entrance, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the flow. So let me actually go in and look at my flow. And as you know, that it is when it comes to the flows for that work with PVA, they're actually in a solution. So that's why when I come over here to my flows, I don't see the two flows that I've built over here. I actually have to go into the solutions. Just something to keep in mind. So Yeah, that's why when I come over here, I just, these are the only 3 that I have, really nothing to do with my PVA. So what I do is now I come into my solutions, and in my solutions, I will actually have to pick the solution that I built specifically for the events. So it is loading.
Hey, Daniel, I have a question for the audience. So I put it in the chat window. Does anybody other than Daniel Christian, anybody, put your hand up or say hello, know how to actually do drag and drop to get that spider web where you can actually go out and connect messages from one topic to the next? So,
and Reza doesn't count. So
and Reza does not count because he knows everything. So Christina's no, because she wanted me to create the video.
Yeah.
I want to know if there's any guesses. Maybe that is actually who gets the Camtasia gift today.
Ooh, good one, Chuck. That's a good one.
You got nothing but no in the chat window.
So
Someone can just say yes. It doesn't matter. You're not
no.
You're not liars.
Oh, so Pontus actually may have won. So Pontus is.
Oh, Pontus said thanks to Daniel. He deserves it. I think that person deserves it. I just have this gut feeling that person deserves it.
We're gonna.
Okay, so
okay, Daniel, back to you.
Back to me. All right. So in the solutions, I've got something called as event session. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the event session over here. And in the event session, you will see that these are the 2 flows that I have. Now, one of the things that I love over here, it wasn't in the first release, but it was an added feature, is that first I had to actually go and click on it and then go click on the flow and then open that up. Now you've got this little bit icon over there. When you click on that, it bam, just opens up the flow directly. And oh man, it's just these little things, which give me that inner peace and joy. That's what it is.
Daniel, I freaking love you, man. Just saying.
Yeah, it's these little things, and like Christina gets it. We connect. So here's I'm just going to show an example of the session name over here. The speaker name is the exact same thing. First thing is I'll just open up this one that just ran 3 minutes ago. And now you'll see, just by the way the flow is just an overview of how it ran over here. This is it. That was the flow. In fact, the top and the bottom, they don't even count. They were just triggers and response back over there. This is literally how simple it was. And I want to kind of call that out is because all I had to do was build this flow over here. All I had to do was have that initial design of the Power PVA. And now it's a solid solution. All I have to do in the future is just update that entity data for the next, event over here. But I just wanted to call that out. So let's quickly take a look at this over here. So I'm going to go into the Power Automate side. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm going ahead and capturing that list over here. All right. So that list, the entity. And I went ahead and got the event sessions that I showed you. And the cool thing over here is I want to make sure that it only grabs that session name, and that's using filter query. Now remember, filter query is like the OData query. So we are doing a server-side query, which means we're not pulling all the data. We are just pulling that one chunk that we need. Faster performance, and also, not pulling in all the information. Not faster performance and less load. Those are the 2 important things of using that filter query over here. So now, based on all the information, I'm just going ahead and kicking up a initial variable. That's where I'm going to go ahead and do the storing, and then after that, I'm just going to append it, because remember, in that example that I showed, there were a few speakers were there, all in all 4 speakers. So it's like, how did that happen? This is how it happened, using the apply to each. I said that all I want is anytime that speaker has got anything to do with the session title, has got anything to do with PowerApps, I want to grab the session name, the session type, and the speaker's name. And using the apply to each, and then appending it into this variable is how this works over here, able to pull all this information. And then I'm just doing a condition. It's a very simple condition that, hey, if a session comes up, if the value of that session is empty, then don't do anything. Just send an empty over there. That's what it does. Is if it's empty, then actually put in the term empty, because then the Power Automate logic will take care of that. Otherwise, if it has session, then go ahead and send that sessions back over here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going ahead and saying the session return, and it sends me both. Because if it's empty, there's nothing over there, then all the return I'm going to get is empty. This is a very important little trick that I want you guys to focus on, because now I can apply a logic directly into the flow, so that when I'm sending something back to the agent over there, in the agent I'm going to apply that logic, saying that, hey, if you received something from flow with the term empty, which means there was nothing on the CDS entity over there. That's a little trick that I want you guys to focus on over there. This is the trick over there. And then if it was anything other than empty, which means they're going to get session information. And that's why I'm sending both in over there. It's a nice little tidbit. If you've forgotten anything, if you don't care about anything, remember that little tidbit that I've shown you is send information back, and it'll capture what that information is. So all in all, this is basically the flow piece over here. It is that simple. Two key things was use the filter query because it does the server-side query over there. And then after that, go ahead and grab all this information and just send it back over there. So when I go ahead and send it back, let's actually now take a look at how the authoring of this works. Because remember, in the first one that I showed you, that first example, it was pretty, lots of information over there. The flow piece was the Power Automate's authoring was a little bit, big, and we had a lot of sliding to do, very similar to what Chuck also had showed. You can actually make it pretty complicated, but in this case now, see the logic is that I'm going to ask a question. The question is, is it about speaker session or speaker room? In fact, if it is about speaker, can you give me the speaker's first, the last name, and then bam, add after that, just the flow runs. That's it. That's all it is on the flow side. Ooh, another little tidbit is if you want to see that flow right over here, you can actually see there's another little icon that'll open up the flow straight from the PVA authoring over there. That's another sweet little feature that came out.
Ooh, I like.
No. Hashtag mind blown. That's all. And so that's basically it. So remember this little trick I showed that if it returns empty, that means two possibilities have happened. Either they made a mistake in typing it, or that session doesn't admit. So I love the way that you can now use your basically you're left to your imagination that this is how a bot, this is how actually the human touch would be. Maybe I made a mistake. So can you just try that again? That's why and I replicated the human touch by saying, it's possible that the speaker has no more sessions, but left to deliver just to be sure. Let's go ahead and try that again. And then I take it from here and I go ahead and loop back to the top again and run that. But if there is information which is there, then it's already provided that and saying, here's the information that I found. It goes ahead and delivers it exactly the same way that I showed over here. And then it's completely up to you after that. Do you want to end it over there, or do you want to go ahead and start another thing, another repeat? That's what I did. I said, I'm going to go ahead and start the option again. And that's why what you see over here is we are in that step over there. So if I go ahead and say, nope, I'm good, it's going to now come and say, did that answer your question? Yes, it did. So as you can see, it is flowing. And then after that, please, great, please rate. I said, excellent. And then we are done. Yeah, nothing else. No thanks. So now you notice that, two things I showed you. One is we use the CDS entity. So that's where all the data was stored. And the main thing was now, thanks to the CDS is where you make all the change. That's where all the constant change is happening over there, because that's the actual source of the content. And the other thing was just the harmony between PVA and Power Automate. Build that, test it, build it solid. Same thing on the Power Automate. But go ahead and build the logic of your flow over there. I'm sure you all, or some of you, I can guarantee you, Reza, Christina, can build a much more smarter flow where they could actually take the sessions and the speaker, combine it together and make it even more smarter. Simple guys like me, we go ahead and make it down into two, separate flows. It helps with troubleshooting, for simple people like me. That's all. But that is it. That's the only two things I touch. And all in all, that was the main thing, is that thanks to Power Automate and the PVA, now I don't have to do any of this updating over there. It all happens on the CDS backend. Yeah, back to you, Todd.
That's awesome. Thanks, Daniel. What a great demo you have there. Everyone really likes your trick about how you dragged in the outputs from both the yes and the no and then made that evaluation. Lots of thumbs up on that one. I have a question for you about Power Virtual Agent. And just as I look at the use cases for this, I can see lots of times if we loop back to what you originally started out with here, you said this doesn't replace a person. This helps a person. So in many of these scenarios, when you have these customer facing things, you have a workflow that needs to start, right? And many times maybe that might even have an approval, right? Because how many times have you called somebody and been on hold and they said, I don't know, let me talk to my manager. So what I'm all leading up to is exactly this here. And what guidance would you give people if, in addition to the forms here, that they actually had approval processes running? What have you done that? And if so, what architecture do you use? Do you use a single flow that handles the whole thing, or do you kick off multiple flows to handle that and drive it off a data point and not use the approval capabilities that are built in the flow itself?
The beauty of PVA is that you can go ahead and kick off other flows over there. So what I personally do is I actually use another flow for that, because that can be a central flow that you use for and manager approval process. You make it as generic as possible, because then you can call that for any other managerial flow. So once I've got something like that, then from the PVA, when that point comes in saying that if somebody's put in this request on the chatbots, like, oh, for that request, I need the manager's approval. There's first of all two things that's going to happen. I see Reza is already itching to say that. We will have to go through an authentication process, because that's how we know who the manager is. Isn't that right, Reza? You were itching to say that, right? I saw that tickle in your throat. Yeah, you got to go through an authentication, because this is 100% anonymous chat. But moment there's managers involved, then you got to go ahead and go through Azure AD, get the person, authentication, all that. So there's a little bit more work involved on that. But to answer your question, back I usually make a separate flow for that, call that flow in over here. But yeah, you will have, in the PVA side, it's got to go through that authentication step to find out who that person's manager is.
Oh, go ahead, Reza.
Just to add to what Daniel said, when you call a flow from PVA, the flow has to respond within 2 minutes. So if you start an approval process in your flow and that approval process takes longer than 2 minutes, it will time out. However, what you could also do in your flow is run a parallel branch wherein you respond to the user in PVA and notify the user that the approval process has started, so that PVA can continue its processing, and simultaneously in a parallel branch, you can trigger your approval process. I actually did that in one of the demos I gave earlier in the Power Virtual Agent call, I think.
That's a key tidbit to know right there, isn't it?
Yep.
So you've got to keep track of the orchestration of all these activities that may happen asynchronously because of that timeout associated with PVA. Nice, nice. Lots of thumbs up here. Nice job. Thanks, Daniel, for sharing that and building on what Chuck started with here today. Looks like we have a lot of time left here still. Reza, you got about 15, 18 minutes still to rock and roll with the brand new tech here of mixed reality.
All right.
Hey, Reza, I'd like to ask you right off the bat. I only saw a quick glimpse of this when you did your tech check here earlier today. How long did it take you to build this Power App?
The one that I will be demoing today is 1 hour, 40 minutes, and I actually timed myself.
Wow. Okay. I just wanted to say that up front, because this technology here blows my mind that you did that in under 2 hours too. That's incredible. All right. Well, I'll let you share your screen here and take it away.
All right. So I will be covering two concepts today. Both of them have been recently announced as part of components in PowerApps. The first one that we will look at today is the new mixed reality components in PowerApps. I'm currently showcasing the blog post that was put out on the PowerApps forum. And this post announced the new mixed reality capabilities in PowerApps. And as part of the new mixed reality capabilities, you have different features available for you to leverage. One of them is known as measurements and validating fitness. So you can actually use mixed reality to place models in augmented reality. And at the same time, you can also go ahead and take measurements while in augmented reality. You can also communicate better with 3D models, where you can place 3D models within your Power App. So you can view the 3D models as well as head over to mixed reality and view your models in MR. The next part that I wanted to cover as part of the mixed reality features is how do you go ahead and start plugging this in your PowerApps today? So if you head over to PowerApps, mixed reality is currently available as an experimental feature, and it is generally available in every region as an experimental feature. In order for you to turn this on, all you have to do is head over to your PowerApps, go to File, Settings, Advanced Settings, and if you head over to Experimental Features, right at the bottom, you will have this option that shows up which says Mixed Reality Features. This will be turned off by default whenever you build an app. If you need to turn this on, all you have to do is head over to the setting and turn this toggle switch on, and all the mixed reality based components will be available for you to leverage right within your Canvas application. Now in my scenario, I've actually gone ahead and leveraged some of the mixed reality components to build an app. And this was in relation to a PowerApps community-driven objective led by Sancho. And this one is known as the PowerApps Kid Zone. So if you guys have not checked out the PowerApps Kid Zone and the community forum, I highly recommend you to do so. And the app that I recently shared, and I did not make it public because I wanted to demo the app today, is the new Astronaut 3D Explorer app. So the first thing I will walk through is the demo of the app. Then I will showcase how I actually built this app. So here's the app, and I'm going to go ahead and play this video first to show you what this app does. As you can see in this application, I have a very simple gallery that allows me to explore different aspects or models related to NASA. And all these models I was able to download from the NASA website itself. They make these 3D models readily available for you. So I actually went ahead and downloaded all those 3D models and then went ahead and built a very simple Power App that plugs in with those 3D models. And if you notice right now, this is an actual Canvas application, and I have this new component called View in 3D, and all it requires is a link to the 3D model. And once you set that model, what you can do then is actually go into augmented reality or mixed reality, wherein I can get that 3D model in my space and actually place it. And then not just that, but even go ahead and take screenshots of the model in my space. So in this demo, what I'm showcasing right here in this video actually is just basically going ahead and placing some of those models in space. And once I place those models, I can actually even walk around it and look at it in true 3D format.
Oh, this is so cool. Sorry.
So that's the basic premise of this application. It uses two components of the mixed reality features. One is View in 3D, and second is mixed reality using the 3D model. Now let's go ahead and look at this, how this app was built. In PowerApps, once you enable the mixed reality components by turning on that experimental feature I showed earlier, if you head over to the Insert tab in the ribbon, one of the new options that will pop out is mixed reality. And this comes with 4 controls. I know you're looking at 3 because the 4th one is in a different location. I will talk about that. In this, we have 3. View in mixed reality, which enables me to view a model in my space. View shape in mixed reality, which enables me to plug a shape with different dimensions in my space. Measure in mixed reality, which enables me to actually go ahead and measure things in my space. And if you head over to media, one of the options right at the bottom is View in 3D, which will enable you to view your model within Canvas app in 3D format. So this app, I took 1 hour and 40 minutes to build. It took me an hour just to get the models. So the key here is to ensure that your models are clean, your models are in the 3D format, and there are a set of supported file types that it only supports currently based on the 3D format. Now, in this scenario, if I head over to explore, all I have right here is actually a very simple gallery. And in this gallery, I actually have the 3D model right here. So if I click on this, this takes me to the relevant item that I'm looking at. And this is the first control right here. It's called view in 3D. And all this control requires is the source. And the source is the link to your 3D model. In my scenario, all my 3D models are hosted in GitHub. So they are actually anonymously available. Anybody can go and pick this up. All I've done is just referenced it to my GitHub repository. So if I head over to the on start of my application, I am loading a collection right here. And the collection has a URL directly to my GitHub repo, which has all the 3D models that I have downloaded from the NASA website. And I leverage that same collection in the gallery. And then I leverage that same selected gallery item in my view in 3D object that I have placed right here. Now, if I play my app, this is actually 3D. And if I zoom in, you notice how I can move this entire control right here. And it not just supports 3D, but it actually supports 3D with animations as well. So if you notice right here, the top of the rocket is kind of opening up so that it's going to go ahead and launch. And once I click view in mixed reality, this will actually open my camera. And then I will be able to place that respective model in my own space. Now, unfortunately, I can't place a rocket in my room because if I do that, it will blast out of my room. So let me go ahead and showcase a different use case right now. And for that, I need to go ahead and use an app. And I am hoping this is going to work. I tested this out 5 times before the call. So I will go ahead and cast my mobile device. Oops, it worked. And let me head over to PowerApps.
We got it. Looking good.
Got it. So far, so good.
So we're looking at your actual phone right now, right?
Yes, you're right. You're actually looking at my phone that I am projecting on my screen.
This is seriously so cool.
Thank you. Well, you need to thank the folks on the call. We actually have some of the product group, we have the product group members on the call today. I believe Anthony is on the call. So please give a big shout out to Anthony, because I think this is one of the coolest new features in PowerApps.
Yeah, major kudos. I have a 3D background and I started getting into virtual reality. So this stuff is like so fascinating to me even more. This is exciting.
So in this scenario, I've actually created a separate demo, and I have certain 3D models that I have built using sample furniture-based aspects. So if I explore my models and think about a furniture store right now that is probably in trouble due to COVID, no customers are coming in, and maybe you want the customers to explore these models in mixed reality in home before they go ahead and order these furniture products. In this scenario, I have a gallery once again, and within this gallery itself, I have placed that 3D object. So if you notice, even the gallery control has objects that are showcasing the elements in 3D. So I can do the same thing for maybe the bookshelf, right? I can move this around. Now, if I click on the chair, this will take me to the screen where it will give me the price of the chair. I can add this to my cart. Maybe I want 2 chairs. But probably before buying the chair, I want to see how it looks in my own space. In this case, I will go ahead and click on View in Mixed Reality. And the moment I do this, it will open the camera on my mobile device, and you're actually looking at my real space right now. And I will walk around. So as you can see, it's capturing my space, and it's providing me locations where I can actually go ahead and drop that model. Now, if I click on this, you notice how it has dropped that model in my space. This, you see my hands right here, there is no chair. However, when I'm actually viewing it in mixed reality, I can see the chair in action. The beauty is I can even walk around this chair, right? I'm actually walking around this chair and I can see the entire chair, which is my 3D model in mixed reality or augmented reality in my own space. Place this and then go ahead and take a picture, maybe take another picture, and because nothing gets approved without my wife's permission, maybe I can go ahead. I can go ahead and view the screenshots that I have taken. And sorry, the screenshots did not load for some reason, but I could actually go ahead and look at the screenshots that I took and send it out as an email to my wife. And once she says it looks great, I can go ahead and place the order. So this is mixed reality in action. And I showed you two components, view in 3D and view in mixed reality.
There's another question that's related to what you just showed, Reza, and that is after you drop that model, into your view of your camera, can you resize it at that point?
Yes. Yes, you can resize it, you can move it. All those capabilities are available today.
You just pinch and zoom or pinch and swipe.
You just pinch and zoom.
That?
Absolutely. Cool. Yes.
Todd, this is what we need to start doing.
I think everyone on the call, man, I need a project doing this right now. So now you've got measurement capability, huh?
Oh, sorry, Reza.
Yeah. So the next part I wanted to demo is the measurement capability in the mixed reality space. And in this scenario, there is an option here which says measure in MR. And all that is literally is a button. Once you click on that button, once again, it will go ahead and open your space. And this time what you can do is you can actually go ahead and measure things in your space. So I'll go ahead and measure two things. One, the distance from the floor to my built-in bookshelf right here. So let me try this. We'll go ahead and click the plus icon. And you see, as I'm moving this up, it's actually even measuring it on the fly. And I can stop right here, hit complete, submit this, and it gives me the distance in a data table, which says it's 0.86 meters. That's the distance from the floor to the base of my built-in bookshelf. Now I can not only measure simple things, but I can even measure more complicated objects. If I head back to measure in 3D once again, I'm going to walk away from my space, so my volume might go down, but please focus on how I go ahead and measure a photo frame.
You just tap the plus button there, it looks like, huh?
Yeah, all you have to do is literally just tap the plus button once you're done with measuring the piece. But not just that, in this scenario, if you notice, I not only measured it, but I actually got that photo frame out as a mixed reality object that I can place in space again. So you can do some really cool things like this, not just measure, but also get the object out. Now, if I hit complete, or if I hit submit, you will notice my data table is updated with the dimensions of that photo frame in meters. It also gives you a JSON object for the devs in the room who are very interested in what kind of data this returns. If you're looking at my screen, there's the JSON object available right here with complete details regarding the length, the direction, all that information is available for you. And one final piece.
There's a question in the chat from Josephine. Question is, can you change the type of metric used to measure? I know you could convert it obviously afterward by calling some function or service, but does it give you properties right off the bat to say I want metric or standard, for instance?
So I believe there are a couple of measurement standards it supports. I think it's meters and centimeters. I'm pretty sure about meters. I'm not so sure about centimeters, but again, it's PowerApps. You can easily pick it up and convert it into any metric of choice.
Yeah, awesome. Wow, so it took you an hour to get the data and the models. It really took 40 minutes to build this app. It's unbelievable. I noticed something as you were showing us the data source where you bound the model to your display control. And I noticed that you used a URL to the GLB file, the 3D file.
Yep.
And did you do that because those files can get really, really big and you didn't want to download it on the fly and just go get it when you need it to make your app as fast as you could? Or is that the only way to do it?
So currently these files, they need to be hosted anonymously. It doesn't matter where you host it as long as they are available anonymously. And there are certain certain prerequisites associated with the type of the file that you have to meet. The reason why I did not load it obviously in the Power App is because if I would have done that, then in that scenario, Power Apps is not anonymously away, as in Power Apps is not anonymous, especially Canvas apps. So I'm not too sure if that would work. Also, these models are extremely heavy, and I don't want to load files that are heavy in size within my app, which would impact the performance of my app as well. So there are multiple reasons why I actually did that.
Let me throw like a curve at you. What if you had a scenario like we're about to start working on a Power App that has this exact requirement? People need to use it in the field. There is no internet access where they will use it. They need to take pictures of it. What you have right here would actually be very helpful to fit into their use case. So it's an offline Power App until you go sync it back up. So in that case, could I take the data in my GLB file and load it into my Power App locally, just like I can with Excel data, into a collection, so I could play with my model offline and have it available?
That's a great question. I would probably say no, because it needs to be available anonymously. Even though you cache it down, I think when you provide the URL, it might not load the model. Anthony would be the right person to answer this question, actually.
You know, using images in Power BI is the same issue as well. Images have to be anonymous.
Gotcha. I see Anthony. He's on the. He's definitely in the chat answering questions here too.
Great. And by the way, the app that I demoed today, if you head over to the community gallery, and I think we've got that link in the presentation deck. Maybe we can plug it in the chat window as well. This app is available for you to download today. So go ahead, give it a shot, try this out, and give us some good feedback. So this one.
And don't forget the kudos.
Yeah,
seriously,
and don't forget
Anthony,
to kudos.
thank you, Reza. Thank you for this demo. This is very inspiring and so cool to see.
Thank you.
And when I say images in Power BI, I meant if you want to use images as like matrix column headers and stuff like that.
Sense.
Outstanding.
The question came up if the images can be stored in SharePoint. That's a good question, because I know you can set up anonymous, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The images, yes, because once you take the screenshots in mixed reality, that's an actual image object in Power Apps, and you're free to do as you please.
Yep.
Okay, heading to the next part of my demo. This one is the new geospatial features that were announced as part of private preview. So it is only available privately today. If you need to sign up for the private preview of the geospatial components, which gives you two new features. One is interactive maps, which are basically dynamic maps available right within Canvas apps. And second is a new address suggestion component, wherein as you actually type an address, it will go ahead and look up real world addresses. And once you pick that address, it will give you key metadata points associated with the location that you've picked. Both these components are currently only available in private preview, and there is a link available right here in the blog post, which I believe we are going to also place in the chat window of our meeting today. And this link will take you to a form, and all you have to do is literally fill this form out, and within an hour you will be a part of the private preview. Okay, now let's look at an actual demo of both these components. I have gone ahead and signed up for the private preview. I was able to download the bits associated with these new artifacts. And once you deploy them, if you head over to code components, you will have these two new controls or components that will be available for you within your Canvas applications. In my scenario, I will go ahead and first showcase the new map component. And this is how the new map component looks like. So as you can see, it's an actual dynamic map control available within my app itself. I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can change the direction of my map. I can also go ahead and change the pitch of my map. Now, not just that, in the demo I'm showcasing right now, this data is coming from a SharePoint list. So I have a SharePoint.
So cool.
So I have a SharePoint list of addresses that I'm storing. Maybe these could be your office locations. These could be your maybe you're a drilling company and you want to put out information of your rigs, where your rigs are currently located, whatever your use case is. Literally all you have to do is for this new component, all it requires, it has an items property. You just need to provide the collection to it, and that's it. It needs to have one more thing though, and that is either an address, so it understands addresses, or latitude and longitude. Either of them work for it to go ahead and start pinning this on my screen. Not just that, you can also change the color of the pins. So if I select Phoenix, for example, notice how it's pointing to Phoenix and it has changed the color of the pin as well. So you can define dynamic coloring, and you can also make sure that it is connected to a data table or a data set. And as you filter or slice and dice your data, the map will also immediately reflect the changes for you. Completely dynamic and very, very powerful.
Can you drop more than one pin on at the same time?
That'll be my next demo. And yes, the answer is yes.
Nice. Another question. Can addresses be converted to lat long? I doubt the map.
Can addresses be converted to lat long? Yes, for a single address using this new component that I'm showcasing right now.
Sweet.
So in this, as I start typing, observe how it starts bringing in real world addresses based on the location information that I'm providing. You can also geofence this address component to only show addresses within a specific geofence. So I'm going to pick the Houston Microsoft location, 750 town, and sorry, it's been a long time I've been in Houston, so I've forgotten this address. 750 Town and Country Boulevard. I'm going to pick this. And the moment I pick this, notice how it dropped a pin in that location. Now this address component returns me a JSON object, and I've printed the JSON object as well right here on the screen. So you can look at the different metadata points that it provides, from street number to street name to municipality name to division to postal code. Literally every property that you would expect returned from an address that you specify is available as part of this address component. Very, very powerful. And in this case, both my map and my address component are literally talking to each other. If you notice, I plugged in the address and the map immediately showcased that address for me on the map. Now let me show you an actual use case. So if folks have seen a COVID-19 tracking based Power Platform solution that I put out in the community forum a few months ago, I had used the static Bing Maps component purely because PowerApps never had a dynamic map component that I could leverage. However, now, thanks to this new capability, again, it's in private preview, so I can't share my app yet. I'm curious to share this. But as you can see, I'm leveraging this new dynamic map component now to live showcase COVID-19 information on a dynamic map. So in this scenario, if you notice, somebody asked the question around multi pins. So you can drop multiple pins, and you can also do things like clustering. So if you observe, for example, the United States, notice it shows 12 right here. And as the pins will start open. So there is clustering options. There are options around the type of map that you want to showcase. You can showcase satellite view, or you can go ahead and turn that off. All the typical capabilities that I showcased around zooming in, changing directions is available. If I want to look at just active cases around the globe, I can do things like that, and notice how the pin colors changed. And if somebody follows me on Twitter, if anyone follows me on Twitter, I actually showcased, or I put a message out last night that there's a brand new feature that was released literally yesterday evening at 6 o'clock. And this is one of the features that I had requested as part of the private preview. I was so excited about it, and I was like, I have to put this as part of the demo today. So I've actually gone ahead and done that. Now what you can also do as part of dynamic maps, those pins, you can make them selectable. That means if I select a pin or if I select a cluster, I can actually define logic in my Power App. Now, if I actually zoom right here, and let's say I click on this location, notice it actually initiated a click effect And of course, I have some logic in my Power App that is showcasing a pop-up component right here. It's contextually passing that information to my pop-up component, and my pop-up component is showcasing me that information. And this is purely because when I select that pin, there is an onSelect function now available that I can leverage. Not just on pins, I can do that on clusters as well. So we have a cluster node of 2 right here. If I click on this, I can pass the entire cluster as well to my component or to my screen, whatever your use case is, and actually showcase all that information right here.
That's fantastic. I don't know if anybody had ever written a Power App before that did all these things with the map. I had before, and you basically had to make REST calls to get static images from Bing Maps. And every time you scroll or zoom in or zoom out, there goes that you write more code to do it.
Right.
Clustering multiple pins, colors, shapes, all built in now, just setting a bunch of properties, huh?
Literally.
Unbelievable. I think this would have shaved off 3 to 4 days off of the first Power App I built with mapping capability, actually. That is a great enhancement. Are there more pieces to it you're going to show as well?
Just one more piece. Again, this is not a, I've already showcased this before, but in this scenario, in my COVID-19 tracking application, I also have a screen where I track cases around my location. So currently I'm in San Diego, California. So you can notice that it's pointing my location right here. So the map also has a location tracking feature that you can turn on or turn off. And of course, it leverages the same location capability within PowerApps. And in this scenario, I'm actually showcasing COVID-19 cases around a 300-mile radius around me. If I increase this radius, notice how it now spans out to a wider geofence. And it showcases all the cases around me just in that geofence. So I was able to do that using the new location feature within the map itself. But I could extend that even further and use the new address component that I demoed a little while earlier. So let's say if I want to just look at cases in a 300-mile radius in Houston, I can now just go ahead and start plugging in that address right here. And this is the address component, of course. And once I pick this, notice how the map changed its location to Houston based on the address component that I just plugged in. And once again, it is showcasing all the COVID-19 cases in a 500-mile radius around the location that I defined in the address component. And I can, of course, shrink this and look at different scenarios based on my use case. But this basically covers the geospatial demos that I wanted to cover as part of this call.
That is fantastic. Man, my head's already like churning on how I want to redo my IoT Power App with these controls instead of the way we wired it up before. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing it.
Thank you so much.
I'll ask you again, how long did it take you to build this page, just this page in this app?
So I had actually built the app using Bing Maps earlier, and this was the static Bing Maps. Let me actually show you, just demo that app, not the entire app, but just the landing page, just to show you how different the experience is with a static map versus an actual dynamic map that scales. And of course, I don't have my Bing Map key right now, it looks like. Let's see if this thing loads. So I already had the app built. I already had the map and all the other components in place. All I literally had to do was plug the new map control and just supply the properties to it. So it took me 15 minutes to add the new dynamic map components and literally enhance this app to a different level.
That's awesome. Very nice demo. Really touched on all the pieces of it here too.
Thank you.
Well done, dude. Lots of rave reviews in there. I was joking in the chat room. I was saying, you know, Reza doesn't come on this call and do a demo unless it starts with enabling preview features or signing up for a private preview. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So here are all of our resources that you can go learn about these new things. The Power Virtual Agents has a whole community now dedicated to it, and you can learn about those geospatial and mixed reality features up on the PowerApps blog as well. So we have some exciting news. I'd love to start with this one. Do y'all remember the demo extravaganza that we had last year? I know Reza does. I know Daniel does. Everyone here, it seems many people do. In case you haven't seen this before, this is a fun little contest we have. And so it's basically open to everyone in the whole world. If you got a cool Power App, you'd like to show it off and just show people how your Power App works. We'd love for you to share it on the July community call. And so it works like this. It takes place during the July community call. That's 2 calls from now. We're going to whittle it down to 5 contestants to demo their Power Apps during the call, just like last year. Each contestant gets 8 minutes to showcase their Power App and convince people to vote for them, because the Power Apps community is going to vote for the winner at the end of all of it. And anybody can enter this contest. So to enter the contest, what you want to do is you want to head to this URL you see at the bottom of the page here. And let me open that up in a new browser window and share it with everybody here. So when you go, you will come here, and I have the same information about how it works here on the right, and then you click enter now, and that takes you to the entries page, and looks like we have 4 entries so far there. So last year, what do we have? About 30, I think 2 or 3 dozen entries all together. So we've simplified it this year. You can just enter the contest right here, fill out the form, and then to vote for people, you just click the thumbs up. And that's how we're going to do the voting. And then everyone in the community who has entered will know where they stand in the voting all the way. So get your app out there. We encourage everybody to do it. Chuck, last year, the prize was to go on a fishing trip with you. I don't think we figured out our prize this year yet, have we? Not yet? All right. We'll have to figure that out yet. But I promise you'll win more than this little graphic I just made this morning here. So we can't wait to do the demo extravaganza again. That was a lot of fun last year. And even the folks who didn't get picked for the final, seeing their apps and looking at them as we voted for them all was a lot of fun. So everybody take a look at that. And now look at this slide. Chuck, I don't think we even have time to go through this whole slide here today one at a time, but basically everybody, this is everything we've looked at here today and all kinds of resources about what's new in Power Apps and related to things we talked about and even things we didn't. Chuck, you got a great logo there as well, huh? Community contribution.
What I was thinking for the top 5 people, let's get them shirts with this logo. I can make that happen.
All right. For sure.
Yeah.
And you also
always
get
game
the
for
ultimate glory of being the champion, right? When you go tell your significant other about that, you would be amazed how amazing they think you are, right, Reza? She probably told you to go buy a Corvette that night. That's my guess.
Hey, Todd, a question. There's a question. Will the deck be available? Do you guys post the decks?
Absolutely. The deck is posted, and you can find a link to it at the same place we post the recording on YouTube. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody here on this list who's tweeting with the PowerApps CC hashtag. This is still my favorite way, along with the Power Addicts hashtag, to find out what's going on with PowerApps. So thanks everybody for sharing all the awesome things you're doing with PowerApps here. Next month, or actually, yes, next month on June 9, you can join the Power Addicts Hangout. That's a call a lot like this one too. And so if you're looking for even more awesome community information and demos like this, I highly encourage you to check this out and go learn about the Power Addicts. It's a great group of folks who I think everyone on this call really identifies as, who are just enthusiastic about this technology. There's another way to learn about cool Power Apps things as well, and that's Donna and Sarah's Less Code, More Power video series. You can find that also online. As you can see, this community just doesn't stop. So these are also 2 other community calls where you can learn more great things about Power Apps. Finally, I'd just like to say thank you to all of you gentlemen who took the time to come on here today, took the time to prepare these demos ahead of time and teach everybody and share your knowledge with all of us. This recording, as usual, gets posted on the Microsoft 365 YouTube channel. You can see the link to it there. You can find it on Twitter as well. Thanks again, everybody. We will see you next month on the
Todd.
June 17th PowerApps community call.
Hey, Todd, there's Roy was asking if we can plug an event that they're running for children tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. What are you doing for, go ahead and unmute there, Roy. Love to hear about how to help the kids.
Yeah, so we are running our third PowerApps for Kids session with the Microsoft Reactor. This was something that Daniel and Reza started with me 2 sessions ago, and it is for children supported by their parents so that they can learn about how cool PowerApps can be. And it is, to be fair, focused around PowerApps because they are cool. And everything, I mean, even things that we've seen today would be great to get on. It is about introducing them into it in such a way that it makes it simple for them. And in my mind, it's something that's inclusive. So it's for children that like history or art or maths. It doesn't matter. Like, it's, you know, we can see how flexible the thing is. So I want to welcome as many children and parents to the platform as we can. So perhaps if I can just pop the link to that in the chat there, then that'd be great. If you just look up PowerApps for
what a
kids,
great cause, helping out kids. Good on you guys. I saw that on Twitter a couple weeks ago. I think Daniel tweeted something about when you guys are doing that a weekend or 2 ago. That's awesome.
Cool. I'll pop that in the chat then.
Very cool. And that happens tomorrow, May 21st?
It's tomorrow. So it's 6 p.m. British summer time. So I'm not sure how that converted to your local time. It's GMT +1. So it'll be sometime during the day for you guys.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I'm sure the kids appreciate it. What a great cause.
Todd, Reza, Dana, Daniel, thank you very much. I need to drop. You guys have a great day, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing you on next month's call.
Thanks, everybody. This was awesome.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.